Okay, and another speaking practice. We are at another speaking practice, and this is the first day of the Lunar New Year. And I still work, of course. I still work. Okay, so Mr. Lin, please, I'll ask you like four difficult topics about crime, about science, about art, about history. So let's talk about crime now. So, do you think Vietnam is a safe country to live in? Part one. It's a part one question.
From my point of view, I believe that due to Vietnam's strict law when it comes to women, that's what. Can
Yes, I hear you very well.
for my point of view, because Vietnam have a very strict law when it comes to possessing a weapon. So that's why it's not for people to get their hand on a dangerous weapon.
Yes, it's
That's why I
difficult for
believe that
people. It's difficult for people to get their
yes,
hands on dangerous weapons, right?
yes. So that's why I believe that it's very safe to live in Vietnam.
To live in this country. Okay, I see. So how about petty crimes? Những cái tội nhỏ nhỏ. Petty crimes mean like pickpockets or mugging or some other kind of crimes against properties like vandalism. What do you think about those things in Vietnam?
Well, unfortunately, I have to say that it's quite popular in Vietnam when it's come to this kind of petty crime. Well, I guess it is much harder
Petty
petty
crimes. When it
petty
comes to
crime
this kind of
petty
petty
crime.
crimes, yeah, petty
petty crime.
crimes.
Well, I guess petty petty crime. Well, I guess just because that it's much harder to control this kind of small wax. So I guess it's hard to prevent this from happen.
Right, I see. So tell me, so do you think the government of Vietnam did a good job in preventing crimes? Hello?
Hmm.
Do you think the government of this
Uh,
country did a good job in preventing crimes?
going.
Okay, let's just start that again. Do you think the government of Vietnam is doing a good job in how can I say in making everyone safe and living in a safe environment or something like that?
From my point of view, I would say that they did a very good job in preventing many type of crime. And of course, judging on my experience, I I haven't encountered any of the serious crime for my whole life living in this country.
Life living in this country.
Yes.
Right. So tell me, okay, so let's go to the topic of science for a moment. So, what do you think about the new technological advances of the last year? So, because we have Elon Musk from SpaceX program, he was launching a lot of satellites onto the outer space, and in an effort to improve our internet speed and to sell his internet package. So, what do you think about those about the new technological advances of this day of today? Are they helping human
Uh, well,
to improve our
uh,
life in a better way or
well,
something?
Uh, from my point of view, I agree that the advancement in technology that humans have achieved is very important because it will bring many benefits to many area or region that doesn't have access to internet, and of course, it will definitely important and help people improve their uh, life, daily life quality.
The daily life quality, I see. Quality of life instead. So, is there any bad thing about new technological advance? Let's say detrimental effects, drawbacks. Is there any bad thing about any new technology, like for example, new vaccines, for example? Let's say new vaccines against COVID-19, or how can I say, advance in home technology. Like we managed to create homes that can withstand the weather, that can be more energy efficient or something like that. But is there anything bad or drawbacks or disadvantages about new technological advances?
Uh,
Yes.
hmm.
What do you think?
Well, anything have its drawback. In this case, I believe that people will begin to overuse this kind of technology. So, example, I don't usually uh, try my best to solve a problem, but I always look for a more convenient way. For example, use the internet to solve my problem instead of actually think and try to solve it. So I guess it will affect many people ability and to, for example, solving a problem, and they will just overuse it. So when the
Just
time that we don't have
okay.
access to it anymore.
Yeah, when we don't have access to it anymore. Okay. So my next question for you is about history. So do you think these days schools teaches children history in the right way or not? Is it effective? Do you think school is teaching history in an
Oh,
effective way?
well, from my point of view, school are not doing a very effective way when it's come to teaching history. I guess it's not exactly their problem.
It's
It's
not
just that
exactly their
they are under
it's not
pressure of
exactly their
time.
fault, right? It's not exactly their fault, right?
Yes, yes, that's what I try to say. It's not exactly their fault, but because they are under a lot of pressure of time, and of course, in my country, people don't consider it's the most important subject. So I guess they just try to uh, teach in a way that we can achieve the highest score. And of course, for myself, for example, I don't remember much of what I have learned in school in any way. So
I
I
can
guess that's
understand
one
the
of
way.
the drawback from this.
Of course, it's one of the drawback. It's just not effective enough. Okay, so what do you think? Why do people have to teach children history? What is the reason for the teaching history to
Mm,
children?
uh, well, personally, I believe that
Personally,
it is crucial to teach. Yeah, what?
personally, personally.
Crucial. Personally, personally, I
Mhm.
believe that it is crucial to teach younger generation. I guess the difference between human and animal that we have the ability to
We have the
uh,
ability to.
give basically convert không phải bring knowledge.
Okay, okay. What kind of ideas you're trying to say? We have the means,
I
we have
just
the means and the will to do something. We have the means có phương cách và cái will. The will is like you really want to do it, the desire to do
oh
something. Okay, let's try that question again. So, what do you think is the reason why people teach history to children?
Well, from my point of view, I believe that it is crucial to teach younger generation history because we have the means and the will to uh,
To,
basically
to, to,
to
to,
to
to,
so
to.
cá
We
to
have the means and
so
the will to do something.
move
To.
our knowledge so so
Okay.
so So, basically, move our knowledge from a prior generation to the current one, so that we can improve ourselves from each generation. So that's why I believe that it is important to teach students history so that they don't make the same mistake as the prior one did.
They don't make the same mistake as the prior generations did, right?
Yes.
And the prior generations did. Okay,
And
very good. Right. Okay, let's talk about say art. This is a difficult topic, of course, art. Right. So, what do you think art brings? Does art bring anything useful to
well,
human?
well, I guess that's I believe that art bring a lot of
Art,
art, art,
art,
art, art, art,
art, art, art, art,
art,
art,
uh, art, art,
art. Mhm.
brings essential benefit. Like I guess because that when we art bring I guess art represent the free
Represent
represent a free way of thinking,
a
not
free way of thinking. A
free
free way of
free
thinking.
free
Free,
free
free,
free
free way of thinking.
free way of thinking, and of course it can inspire the viewer and bring new ways of thinking for people who observe them. So it helps them escape their daily life routine and uh,
People transcend the ordinary, right? To
yes,
to
that's what I think.
transcend the ordinary means to transcend the ordinary means like you are escaping from the ordinary life and to a higher being, to a higher position or something like that. You're escaping from the ordinary life. Trốn ra khỏi cái gọi là thực tại mà nó quá thông thường như vậy để lên một cái gì đó cao siêu hơn. To reach a higher state, something like that.
Yes.
All right. So, do you think that the school system is doing a good job in teaching art?
Wow. Well, I believe that school is not currently they are school also.
School.
Well, I guess when it's come to art, in my opinion, they are definitely do not live up to expectation.
Do not live
When
up to expectation.
Yes, when many people consider art that not a primary compulsory subject. So as the result of this, many students, include myself, uh, consider art not a very important aspect of
Right.
life.
We consider art as not a very crucial aspect of life, right?
Yes,
Not just a
yes,
crucial or important
crucial,
or
crucial.
essential aspect of life.
Of life. So I guess that definitely still have room for improvement.
Yeah, we have room for improvement. There are still there are still rooms for improvement. Vẫn có rất nhiều chỗ để cải thiện. So there are still many there are still room for improvement. It means like you can still improve a lot. There are still a lot of things to improve on. Okay, very good. So about okay, let's move on to what did I ask about? Okay, I asked about history, I asked about art, I asked about crime, and what's the science already, right? Okay, so let's move on to the part 3. I'll ask you more difficult topics. We will not do part 2 today because it seems like we have already done a lot of part 2 already. So we should do more part 3 now. Okay, so talking about art,
Uh,
what do you think about like different kind of art these days? What do you think about museum and
mm,
what will happen to museum in the future? Let's talk about museum now. So, what do you
well,
think about the role of museum
okay.
and what will happen to them in the future?
Currently, I because we can easily access a lot of information based on the thanks to the development of the internet. So I guess the
Internet,
museum have
development of the
doesn't
internet. Mhm.
the internet. The internet. So I guess the museum isn't play an important role as it used to be. I guess a major museum when which is store many important artifact and so we still exist. But I guess the smaller one will definitely struggle to stay open.
We definitely struggle to stay open. And how about their role? Do you think the role of museum will eventually become obsolete in the near future? Obsolete means obsolete. Obsolete means they're no longer necessary. Do you think museum will one day become obsolete and it will disappear? This is the part
Well,
3 question. Be careful.
yes. I guess despite the fact that internet have the internet have take a lot of uh, definitely affects the museum in a negative way. But we still need a place to represent and hold many important artifacts and products that cannot be replaced. So I guess the museum will definitely still have a place to stand in the future.
Okay, right, I see. We'll definitely have a place to stay in the future. But on the other hand, do you think museum is doing a good job in teaching young people history?
Mm, well, uh, well, from my point of view, despite that the museum this day have a uh, áp dụng cái gì ta? Imply hả?
Despite the fact that museum these days have employed
Employ
various approaches. Đã áp
uh,
dụng nhiều
have
phương pháp, have employed various
employ
approaches or
employ
methods.
various approaches such as technology like television to play historical footage. Uh, I guess that they still fail to appealing to younger generation, so that
You mean like still fail to appeal? Động từ verb
yeah
is a verb. To appeal is still fail to appeal to the younger generations, right?
yes, they still fail to appeal to younger generation. I guess that because of this, they don't have many opportunity to teach younger generation about history.
Right, but my question was like, you think that the museum is doing a good job in that? Is it helpful? Is it efficient? Is it an efficient means to teach young children history through museum?
Uh,
Or is it just a waste of money and time?
I guess with a good corporate from a school, they definitely can use it to its full potential because mus-
To its full
full
potential. To its
full
full potential.
poten-
Full.
potential
To its full
full
potential.
full full full
To its
full
full
potential.
potential. Mhm.
potential because they do hold a lot of artifact and historical footage, which is much better compared to one that in school. So I guess it still depend on their usefulness.
It still depends
What
on the usefulness and how the director of the museum, how can I say, operate the place, right? And utilize the
yes,
place efficiently or not, right?
yeah, yes,
All right.
utilize.
Okay, so a bit about museum and art. Okay, let's talk about crime now. About the crime rate. When the economy suffers, the crime rate will be more likely to increase. What is the reason for this? What do you think?
I guess from my point of view, when the economy go down, many
Goes down.
people
When
will
the economy goes down.
goes
When the economy
one
goes down.
goes when the economy goes down, many people will lose their current job,
Will
and of
lose.
course
Will lose.
lose
Will lose their current job.
we lose their current job, and of course the price of goods will also increase. So many people who are not as lucky will have to find a different way to survive, and I guess that's why they choose to commit crime because it's a fastest way to obtain what you need.
It's a fast way to attain what they need, right? Right.
Yes.
So I see. So the increase in crime rate these days are actually quite detrimental, are quite worrying. Or so, what could be the solution for the increase in the crime rate these days? What do you think?
Oh, well,
We can't
wow.
simply say create more jobs, because creating more jobs is not easy. So, what could be the solution for this malignant problems? We have a word here, malignant. Malignant là ác tính, giống như khối u ác tính. So malignance means like something that happens for a long time and it's very harmful, but it's difficult, very difficult to treat. Very difficult to treat, and it's spreading and it's causing even more damage. Like for example, a malignant tumor. Một khối u ác tính như này. Right, so okay, please continue. Please.
Well, from my point of view, this is definitely a difficult, tricky question. But I guess that yes, uh, but I guess that we should apply a more stricter control. Oh no, I guess we should use a law that have much powerful punish so that
You mean that
people
have a stricter punishment, or
yes
a stricter punishment, or more harsh punishments, right?
yes more harsh punishment
Or
so that
harsher punishment.
harsher harsher
Mhm.
to a harsher punishment so people would definitely have a second thought before they commit any crime. Of course it's still short side plan anyway.
Okay, and so about adolescents. These
Yes.
days, adolescents or people in their adolescent age tend to commit crimes earlier, or they tend to commit crimes more. So it causes a problem. It's called juvenile crime.
Yes.
Juvenile crime, tội phạm tuổi vị thành niên. It's called juvenile crimes like committed by people at 16, 17 years old, even 14, 15 years old as well. It's called juvenile crime. And of course, it's causing a huge problem for the nation. What do you think could be the reason and the solution for this?
Hmm. What? Oh wow, firework really?
Fireworks at your place?
Yeah, someone just illegal firing firework
Of course,
anyway.
illegal. Of course, it's illegal. Anyway, okay. Your turn, please.
Wow, that's a long name. Anyway, I guess because as a young age, people would definitely want to explore and do something out of the ordinary. Of course, because of the
Ordinary, not be ordinary, right?
ordinary, out of the ordinary, and
Out of the ordinary, out of the
the
ordinary.
the out of the ordinary, and of course because of the strict control from parents and the school system, it's definitely hold them back, and they feel that they I guess doing something illegal would definitely make you more exciting and thrilling. So I
Would
guess
make
that's
you
why
more excited. Make you more excited.
exciting,
Because the
exciting.
act is exciting. Be careful.
Yeah.
Tính từ chủ động và tính từ bị động. Be careful with that. Because
Yes.
doing something illegal would be extremely attractive, and it makes you excited. It makes you excited
Yes.
to do so,
And
and it could
more
be
thrilling.
yeah, it create an excellent. It create a very adventurous feeling, một cảm giác rất là giống như phiêu lưu, adventurous feeling, adventurous feeling.
Yes. Adventurous feeling.
So
Adventurous.
that could be, yeah. Anything else?
So I guess that's why some people are very ready to committing crime, even though it doesn't necessary for them to do so.
Okay. All right. So that is one reason. It's because of their young age. It's difficult to differentiate between the right and wrong, isn't it? And of course, these young people, these adolescents, they are not at the age that they are objective. They are not at the age to be the object of the law, right? To be punished by the law, right? So they are not objected to punishment by the law. Đâu có bị chịu trách nhiệm hình sự đâu. Đâu có chịu trách nhiệm với pháp luật đâu. Tại vì trước độ tuổi thành niên mà. They are not objected to punishment by the law, and of course, their parents will have to be responsible for that. So what do you think school could do to help with this increase in juvenile crime? What can school and parents do?
Well, I guess closer supervision would be essential. But I guess other methods, such as teaching them have a higher awareness, and basically let's let them know that what is wrong and right is quite important, because sometimes the line between that can be very hard to recognize. So that's why I guess some people, some adolescents just accidentally committing crime, even though that they doesn't know it.
Even though they don't know it. Sometimes they don't know it. They don't know it. All right. So
They don't know it.
But my question asks for the solution. Like, what could parents and school do to help alleviate the problem with juvenile crime? What do you think? I asked for the solution.
Well, I guess parents should teach this, have a closer supervision, and basically
Closer supervision, right? And basically what?
student, can
Oh my God, the internet.
They could help students teach students more knowledge between what is right and what is wrong. Because sometimes line is very the line between right and wrong is very hard to recognize,
It's very
so
hard to
that they can
differentiate.
commit
It's very
crime.
hard to differentiate. Rất khó để phân định. Differentiate.
Uh,
It's very hard to differentiate between like the right and the wrong. Khó mà phân định cái đúng cái sai, phân biệt. It's hard to differentiate between the right and the wrong. But you still haven't answered my question. I asked for the solution.
Solution.
Think about, okay, you told us about like closer supervision. Cái sự mà giống như là closer supervision between parents and children or school and children. Sự quan sát cẩn thận hơn. Okay. But don't you think that the police should do something about the gangsters or bad influences, like for example, khá bảnh in Vietnam or something like that, you know, or bad YouTube videos teaching children to do bad things, or maybe bad influences like, you know, people trying to sell heroin or marijuana or weeds into the school system. Yeah.
Well, I guess authority could help prevent this. Of course, blocking bad influence from the internet is quite challenging. But I guess
not easy.
Yes, especially it's a foreign platform, but I guess they still have power and have the manpower to block or prevent this from become widespread, so that
widespread
less
phenomenon, right? Một hiện tượng lan rộng. To become a widespread phenomenon, right?
Yes, wise.
Một hiện tượng lan rộng, to prevent them from becoming a widespread phenomenon and causing a lot of damage. Right. Okay, so that is about the police and the parents and the teachers. Do you think that the public have the responsibility to supervise or to take care of the adolescents as well, and to prevent them from committing crime as well? The public.
I believe that the public also bear the responsibility.
Bear the responsibility, of course. Chịu trách nhiệm, very good.
Bear responsibility to prevent adolescents from committing crime. Because they definitely would have they would definitely better supervision compared to their parents, because so they could prevent it on time before it actually happened.
Before it actually happened. Okay, good. Right. So you think everyone has the responsibility, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. So you know, like for example, in Germany, you know the German people right now, they are very obedient. They are very law obedient. They are very law-abiding citizens. And basically the whole public, they understand what they should do. They understand that they have the responsibility to look after children and the younger generations in general. So basically, if children go fishing, an adult can just ask the children for, you know, their certificate or their paper. Like you know, fishing is actually an activity that you have to ask for permission, you know, in Germany. So any person in the public can ask, of course, they can ask for that paper, for that permission paper. So that is one example of a very responsible society, một cái xã hội rất là có trách nhiệm. A very responsible society. Okay, that's about crime and about art and history again. Okay, so okay, now my next question about history. These days, more and more people are having a bad idea or having these days more and more people are having less knowledge about history. What do you think is a problem here?
Well, I guess that most people just misunderstand, and they many people concept that if it all you need to get
Many
rid
people
of
say,
it.
many people, what? Many people?
Have the concept of
Many
if
people have the concept that
said that if it all you need to get rid of it. So I guess that's when they view history as something that already happened, so it's irrelevant to the present right now. So that's why they don't. That's why they don't consider it's a very important subject.
okay. They don't consider as very important subject. Very good. Okay, so but this problem it's more than just the lack of or the ignorance of the young people, you know. It's the ignorance. The problem is more than just the ignorance of the young people. This problem can be caused by the school system and the general public as well, because you know education is not just about school, it's about the family, it's about what is going on in their society as well. So what do you think, beside from what you said, the ignorance of the young people about history, who else is to blame for this decrease in their awareness of history? Ai cũng chịu trách nhiệm cho cái sự giảm về cái ý thức lịch sử của họ. Yeah.
Well, personally, I believe that I guess because both the parents and the society are no longer hold history as important as it used to be, and because of that, when younger generation so that's why I guess it's also influenced the younger generation view on a history subject as well. Uh,
So
so I guess they just follow the older generation and the society. So I guess they also be influenced that history is no longer an important subject.
my question, you are actually not going to the main focus here. The main focus here is like the school system is also responsible, of course, and the public is also responsible because the people these days they just focus, let's say, on math, physics, chemistry, or other kind of natural science subjects. And that is a sad thing to happen. Of course, that's a sad thing that is happening. Con người ta chỉ tập trung vào mấy cái môn tự nhiên thôi, mà tập trung môn xã hội. Đó là một cái vấn đề rất là nghiêm trọng á. And as a result, children these days, they do not know much about history, or they're extremely ignorant about what's going on. So that it's one of the reasons.
Well, I guess when it's come to both parent and society, I guess that they promote subject like math and chemistry is more, and they consider it's more important. And as a result, when a student they're looking for a subject to study, they also have that train of thought, and they will overlook a subject like history, and and a career like a doctor are much more popular and respected by both society and
Respected by and
respected
respected and well
by
respected.
well respected, well respected by both parent and society. So that's why there are most students would aiming for subject that like that and overlook uh, a subject like history.
Okay, right. That could be one of a very important reason. Yes, very good. Okay, so talking more about history, do you think that mankind ever learn from their mistakes?
Hmm. Well, I guess that well, from my point of view,
You should give examples. Mhm.
yes, example. I guess that uh, f- I guess that this is definitely very common that we know about the mistake that prior generation have made, but I guess
Have made.
made have made have made. But I guess that we only consider it as a knowledge instead of personal experience. So as a result, I guess that people usually just overlook this and they make that same mistake again.
So you mean because of their ignorance, because of their ignorance of the consequences, people still keep making the same mistakes again and again.
Yes.
Right, and is that why we still have wars going on and then conflicts that can never be resolved, right?
I guess so.
Hmm. Right. So people, so human never really learn from their mistakes anyway. Okay. So my next question is also about history. What do you think is the best way to educate the young minds or the young people about history?
Mm, well,
The best way.
in my opinion, the best way would be influence the way they taught about history from very young age, so that they don't overlook this subject because when they are being educated from a very young age, uh, they would have a they would remember longer and would definitely in the future they also taught their
Yeah. What?
uh,
Oops.
uh,
Oopsie.
uh,
Okay. All right. So basically, the best way to teach it could be through museum, could be through like field trips, to
mm,
the old battlegrounds, những cái chỗ mà chiến tích, những cái chỗ mà đánh nhau ngày xưa á, the old battlegrounds. Or people can just talking to the veteran. Veterans.
yes,
Veterans are basically people who fought the war, and now they might be wounded, they might be crippled, they might be disabled, but they can still tell the story because they're still living to tell the story, right?
yes,
And they are one of the most important storyteller. Sometimes they are way better than books or movies because they are the one who actually witness the true battle. And talking to veteran, it could be one of the best way to educate the young minds. On top of that, because talking to a real human being could be more attractive of an act, could be more attractive for the young minds compared to watching it on TV or reading books, right?
yes.
There you go. So these are the ways that I can propose that people can study about history. Okay, is that good enough?
Yes.
We should do more about science though.
Of
So
course.
what do you think is the teaching of science in the educational system in Vietnam? What do you think about the education system in Vietnam with regards to the teaching of science subject?
Well, I guess, well, despite that, science is definitely being hold a very, huh?
Science is definitely a what? Again?
Despite that, in Vietnam, science is definitely being considered a very important subject. I guess the school system just have a wrong approach when it's come to teaching science.
Wrong approach when it comes to
Approach,
science, right?
approach,
Such
approach.
as
When it's come to science, um,
focusing on calculation, right?
yes, uh, that's such that focus too much on calculation and a small detail so that they miss the bigger picture. So
Of course, they miss the
I
bigger
guess
picture.
many student doesn't have good uh, a good concept of science, so they just try to achieve the highest score and actually don't learn anything from it.
Exactly. They don't learn nothing. They don't learn anything practical, right? From
Yes.
the science subjects, beside from knowing how to calculate, isn't it?
Mm.
All right. Besides any science principles, there are always the logic behind. We learn science not because of these formula, not because of the calculation, but it's because of logical thinking skills that we can learn from it, right? Science không
Yes.
phải bởi vì học tính toán hay là học công thức không đâu, mà chính học science để mà luyện cái kỹ năng mà suy nghĩ, critical thinking skills, kỹ năng suy nghĩ logic, critical thinking skill and problem solving skill, kỹ năng giải quyết vấn đề. And that is vital in the workplace, and also it's vital for for advancing, for mankind to advance in the future. Right, so that is about science in teaching in school. So my next question for you is, do you think um, do you think the government should make private companies do science projects, or should the government how can I say, funds these science project themselves? Chính quyền có nên rót vốn cho những cái dự án khoa học, hay là để cho những công ty tư nhân tự làm? So should the government fund these science projects, or should they just let the private companies carry out these science projects themselves? What do you think?
Uh, well, uh, well, from my point of view, I guess that uh, government definitely need to fund this project because many people do have a lot of good idea and innovation, but of course, due to their economy, their lack of funding, they may not able to achieve
They may not be
uh,
able to achieve.
greater result. So I guess this funding is crucial for people to develop it to its full potential.
To
To
develop it to its
to
full potential.
develop to its full potential potential.
What else?
Uh,
Okay, think about it. If private companies do science project, they might use that knowledge you know, for their own agenda. You never know if it is a good or bad agendas. But if the government fund these science projects, they have the right to control everything. And that knowledge that comes out, the result of these research or science projects, could be used, could be controlled, could be how can I say, used, could be in a good hand,
Yes.
Some private companies, they have their own hidden agendas. Nó có cái lý do riêng nó làm nghiên cứu khoa học để cho tiền bạc, để kiếm tiền hay. Hidden agendas. They have their hidden agendas. And of course, they do science, and sometimes it's against the law to carry out some science project, such as human cloning. You know what human cloning is? Nhân
Yes.
bản vô tính con người. And of course, human cloning is against the law, of course. Phạm luật đấy. You're not allowed to clone humans. Or sometimes they do research just to create more weapons or viruses or biological weapons. Tạo ra những cái vũ khí sinh học like biological weapons, such as maybe a new bacteria or virus. And that could be very dangerous. It could be absolutely detrimental to the survival of mankind. And those things must be controlled. So that was the thing that I was mentioning. However, you can talk about like if the government control and funding science projects, these science projects will not occur very fast, isn't it?
Yes.
Nó không có diễn ra nhanh đâu. Chính quyền mà trợ vốn thì nói chung là cái gì của công nó cũng làm chậm hơn là tư đó. Okay, you answer that question again, please. What do you think? Who should fund science projects? Private companies or the government? And why?
Well, I personally believe that government should fund this science project. Of course, because that many people do have a good idea and they just lack the resource to achieve
the resources. They lack
the
them.
resources.
You mean the resources, financial resources to carry out these ideas, right?
Yes, so they lack financial resources to carry out this idea, and of course, we still need to consider that many private companies only do it to achieve their personal benefit, and they, of course, may do many research that are against law.
Against the law,
so.
yes.
Against the law,
Or could be endangering human lives as well. Gây nguy hiểm cho mạng sống con người, đời sống con người. Yeah. Could be dangerous to human lives as well.
Could be dangerous to human life. So that's why that I believe that the supervision and funding from government would be more beneficial. For this beneficial to conduct science project.
Would be more beneficial. On the other hand, let's talk about on the other hand now. If projects are to be funded by the government, what could be the problem?
Firstly, what I can think of is that private companies sometimes have larger amount of money and that they can access. Like for example, a larger company like Tesla or Apple, they have definitely have more than enough resources to conduct their own experiment, and of course, because it's affect their own benefit and their own benefit, they will do it much more effective and of course
with much better effectiveness, like with much better effectiveness. Cái tính hiệu quả nhanh hơn. With much better effectiveness. Because
Which
because it's for profit, bởi vì nó cho lợi nhuận mà. Because it's for
profit?
profit.
Because it's for their own
Their own profits.
profit. They will conduct it much more effectiveness and
Effectively, much more effectively.
And because there's many of these large companies, they will achieve much higher in quality and quantity at the same time. So so it will much superior compared to funding by the government.
It will be superior compared to
Superior.
fundings. You mean the research itself will be more superior? What do you mean superior?
I guess
Like superior in terms of speed, superior in terms of
I guess superior in quantity and the
and
time
quality.
it takes. Quantity, số lượng là nhiều công ty.
Quantity and quality as well, right?
Quality, yes.
But on the other hand, it's absolutely essential that the government should have a control over what the private companies do, of course, because for obvious reasons, we don't want this company to just do whatever they want. It could endanger lives of people. Think about what Coca-Cola, Nestle, or about Monsanto, right? Có một cái công ty tên là công ty Monsanto. Well, there's a company called Monsanto, and they are the one who provide a lot of chemicals, seeds, agricultural products to people around the world. But this company is a very evil corporation, and they provided GMO or genetically modified seeds to farmers, and of course these fields, they grow very quickly and they produce good yield, but they destroy the natural habitat of the place that they grow. So as a result, these farmers are now dependent on the seeds, or they are dependent on this company. And dependency is evil, of course. Cái sự phụ thuộc vào một cái công ty nào đó nó rất là nguy hiểm.
I understand.
You should read about it. It's a very it's a popular, it's a very famous story about Monsanto. You should read about it. Monsanto is also a company that provide the chemical Agent Orange in the Vietnam War. Chất độc màu da cam. Agent Orange in the Vietnam War. They are the ones responsible for a lot of death, destruction, and of abnormalities. Những cái sự mà giống như là dạng quái thai á, abnormalities, birth defects as well. And of course, they never pay retribution. They never pay retribution. They never how can I say, apologize for what they did. You should read about it. It's a very popular story.
Yes.
Và mỗi một phút đó, and every minute in India, they say that every minute one farmer committed suicide. They killed themselves. Because why? Because of Monsanto. Because of their because they have to depend on the seed source from Monsanto. And they went bankrupt afterward because of Monsanto too. And of course, that story went on the headline. Cái câu chuyện nó lên trên tiêu đề quá trời luôn. You should read about it. You should read about it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think is it time to do writing now, maybe?
Well, I only do two tasks.
Okay, maybe it's
tasks
good that we do like maybe 10-15 minutes more, maybe.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Okay. Now, I would like you to try to do maybe a part 2, 64. Let's say we already done a lot. Let's go to part 2, 64, pages 36 out of 36. That's the last page. Describe a time when you needed to use your imagination. Miêu tả một cái lúc mà bạn cần phải sử dụng cái trí tưởng tượng của các bạn. A time when you needed to use your imagination. You should say what the situation was, why you needed to use your imagination, what the difficulties were about it, and explain how you felt about it. Tình huống là gì? Tại sao bạn lại cần sử dụng cái trí tưởng tượng của mình? Nó đã có cái khó khăn nào về chuyện đó? Và cảm thấy như thế nào về chuyện đó? It's a past tense thing. And then you have part 3 here. Is imagination important to a child? And why? Trí tưởng tượng có quan trọng với trẻ nhỏ không? Tại sao? When does a child need imagination? Chừng nào chúng cần trí tưởng tượng? What occupation does a scientist... Wait. What occupation need imagination? Give examples. Nghề nào cần trí tưởng tượng nhiều? Và ví dụ. Do employees in a company need imagination? Những nhân viên trong công ty cần trí tưởng tượng không? And why? Of course, I'll give you like 1 minute to think about both part 2 and part 3 of this one, okay? Now, okay, I think it's time now. Please, Mr. Lin, describe a time when you needed to use your imagination. Your 2 minutes start now.
So one of the time that I actually need to use my imagination is in
I
needed to use my imagination is in art class. Because art classes
was in art class.
Was in art class. Back then, we still used old-fashioned style, like paper and pencil. So as a result, you can only did one. So I use my imagination for the portrait, painting, the color, and basically how it looked. It's definitely much more challenging than I have thought, because you need to have a good concentration, which I don't have, unfortunately. I didn't have. I didn't have, unfortunately, and my friend did provide a lot of distraction for me too.
My friend did provide a lot of distraction.
Friends did provide a lot of distraction. So in the end, it's definitely not look at good as I was hoping.
It definitely didn't look as good as I wanted it to be.
It's definitely didn't look as good as I was hoping for, but I guess it's still acceptable for one of my first time using my imagination.
Good enough. Alright, let's go to part 3 here. So, is imagination important to a child, and why?
I guess it's in my opinion, it's definitely very crucial for a child. Crucial for a child, because it's definitely very beneficial in the future when there are many things that you cannot physically see it. Physically see it. So you definitely need your imagination to fill in the gap. And to understand the problem more easy. Yeah.
To understand the problem more easier, more easily.
Easily.
Okay, So, when does a child need imagination? What do you think?
Well, I guess that when uh, when I guess a child already use its imagination from a very young age because back then because you are lacking any usable knowledge, so that uh, use your imagination can help explain how um, a thing work, and it just open up a lot of possibility for a
Just open up a
child.
lot of possibilities. Yeah. Such
So
as, okay, so basically you can just talk about like children need imagination when it comes to art, literature, or some, how can I say, subjects that require imaginations. However, sometimes children need to nurture the imaginations when it comes to other science subject as well. Like for example, sometimes to be able to find the solution for a math problem, they need to imagine, đặc biệt là hình không gian á, especially
yeah,
for like geometry, you need to imagine in 3D, you need to imagine in three dimension,
yes,
And so also in chemistry and physics, sometimes you need a good imagination as well in order to understand how the reaction happens, understand how the color change, là thế nào mà nó diễn ra cái phản ứng gì, màu sắc thay đổi ra sao, or to understand like formulas and concepts. So of course imagination is important to have, otherwise you would not be able to understand the concepts deeply.
yes.
All right, so what occupation does need imagination? Can you give examples?
Well, I guess any occupation that need imagination is definitely the one that require free thinking, like art, artists, or basically people who create content on the internet. They will definitely need to create something new, original idea to attract viewer.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. Think about like occupation just as graphic designers, any kind of designers, interior designers, architect, or writers, journalists.
Right, writer cần gì đó.
Cần chứ. Rồi, viết bài mà em không cái tưởng tượng sao sao viết trời. Sometimes you need imagination, of course, in order to write a very attractive story.
Oh,
Of course, be careful. And of course, when it comes to, say, teaching, a teacher needs a good imagination as well in order to make the lesson more engaging, làm cho cái lớp học nó năng động và nó tham gia nhiều người vào engaging. And also, if you want to make people believe and listen to you, you need to be attractive, right? And your
yes.
imagination is what makes people attracted to you. So teaching, you also need imagination as well. Any kind of art, any kind of designers, any kind of writers, any kind of and other example you can think of. Right. So do employees in a company need imagination? What do you think?
Well, I guess employee from company definitely need imagination because it will help them to understand how the system work, and of course using imagination could help them cut down the time they working by inventing or just find a different way to solve a solution that's much more effective. And of course, this will benefit for
solve a problem, to come up with a solution.
To come up with a solution to solve a problem, and of course this will both benefit for that individual and the company itself.
It will both benefit, no preposition, không có giới từ nha. It will both benefit the company and the employee.
Benefit. Ủa là cái từ both, từ benefit không có giới từ.
Benefit someone, not benefit for someone, okay? Không có giới từ nha. Benefit.
Yeah.
Alright. Continue, please.
So that's why I had here. That's why they very important. I never employee. Huh?
Okay, I think it's time. Maybe you are tired with reading, with speaking already. Let's just end here, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, we should end here. Cảm ơn các bạn theo dõi nha. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share this video with your friends. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and press on the bell button next to the subscribe button so you can get notified about my new uploads. You can also follow, but don't add me on Facebook, okay? Các bạn có thể follow nhưng mà đừng có bao giờ kết bạn Facebook mình nha. Các bạn hãy like, share video này với bạn bè của mấy bạn và subscribe, đăng ký kênh YouTube mình và nhấn vào nút cái chuông kế bên cạnh chữ đăng ký kênh á để mà được thông báo về những video mới nha. Bye, see you.